One of these times I'll get it. There it is. This ball's slippery. What's going on, guys? Time for a new video. Today, we're going to talk about momentum trading. All right, it's a big topic. Everyone always asks me how to trade based on momentum and how I do it on low time frames. So today, we're going to talk about it. But first off, shout out to Bitget for sponsoring this awesome series. The last video was absolutely awesome. If you didn't catch it, it talks about how to avoid bad habits, make trading more of a profession, less of a gambling addiction. So make sure you check that video out. A really good one. A lot of people related to that, I heard. But also, if you want to check out Bitget Exchange, I've been using it for a little over a month now, and I have to say it's actually been really good. Mobile app is great. No KYC, no VPN. If you sign up with the link below, you can actually get a 15% discount on your trading fees. So feel free to check it out. They have copy trading on their platform as well. And if you go through my YouTube, I made a tutorial on how to use that exchange. Excuse me. All right. So let's get into momentum trading. All right. Momentum trading relies on, guess what? What does it rely on? Can you guess? Momentum. Haha, you nailed it. You're so smart. All right, so if I see a chart going like this, I can't trade that. There's no momentum there, right? So I want to see price action going up, price action going down, and I want to use that momentum to my advantage. All right. Now, the other key thing here, and I'll probably talk about it more later, but you want to get in when the momentum is high. You want to get in when there's momentum, when there's a lot of momentum, and not try to chase it after momentum has died down. And what I mean by that is a lot of times you'll see a lot of volatility and then a quick whipsaw, and then price just kind of chops around for a little bit before the next big move. And the mistake a lot of people make is they either get chopped up on this move or they miss it and they hear about it late and they come in about here. And this is where price just goes kind of sideways. And they're like, oh, I'm going to catch a next big move up or a next big move down. And price just basically does this. They get chopped up, longing and shorting a million times. You switch long, then you switch short, then you switch long, you switch short. And you lose a lot of money before the actual move happens, okay? So key thing here is when there's the action, you want to get in. And if you miss it, you miss it. And there's nothing you can do about it because you can't trade sideways as much as you want, all right? Maybe you can. Maybe you're a freaking genius, okay? But my point being is it's really difficult to trade sideways like this. It's a lot easier to trade momentum. And not only that, it's a lot easier to make your money back if you do lose a trade if there's momentum. Because in this sideways crap, if I lose money, I'm probably not making it back. But if there's momentum, then I've got a lot of price action here. And even if I get stopped out on one of these, there's a lot of movement for me to potentially catch another trade. All right. So that's really cool. How do we trade this then, right? Well, first off, you don't want to be trading the beginning of the momentum, and you don't want to trade the momentum when it's really high. So it's like a car rolling down a hill. Okay. Where are you going to try to catch that car at? If this car is right here coming down this hill, you don't want to be standing right here, do you? You're going to be getting bowled over. I wish I could, make this guy fall and die. Okay. Anyway. So, you're going to get bowled over. Do you want to catch it here? No, you don't want to catch that car here? It's going to be going full speed there still, right? Where do you want to catch that car? Wow, you guys are so smart. You want to catch the car over here after the momentum has died before it goes back up the hill, right? So, that car is coming down. You kind of wait for this, all right? And then you can try to catch it. All right, so that's kind of my point is don't get caught in the middle of this strong momentum because a lot of times people enter a position here and price will just blast through their order and they're stopped at, they can't even put a stop loss in time and they take a big loss because of it. So make sure that you are not just getting in through a big blast of momentum. You'll if you do it, you'll really regret it because you'll get completely blown through on your short or your long. Okay, so that's a key point to understand. But anyway, so let's just kind of go into a chart here. And we'll find a chart with momentum. Okay. And we got a lot of sideways lately on Bitcoin. Another key, too, is if you guys are chasing momentum, you're probably going to want to get out quicker. So let's say we've got a lot of short momentum here, right? Got a lot of momentum on the short side. And let's say you're just like, you know what? Momentum has been downhill lately, right? This is heavy momentum here. There's a lot of dropping. We've got a little bit of slowing, which led to a bounce. But what's the overall momentum, right? And this is a 1 hour chart. If I go to the daily, okay, you can see that my momentum's downhill, just straight downhill, right? So if I go back to this 1 hour chart, momentum's downhill. We hit a little bump, all right? But after you hit that little bump, if you got a lot of speed and you hit a little bump, what's going to happen? Your momentum's going to carry you lower, right? So if you want to catch the late momentum, that's fine. But my key point here is if you get into momentum late, you want to close quickly, all right? And what I mean by that is if you get into a short up here, okay, you got a great entry before the momentum started, right? Because we didn't have any momentum yet. We had a slow trickle here. We had no momentum. And now you're getting in as momentum starting. So you get in early on the trend, early on the momentum, you can ride that car all the way down the hill, okay? But if you get in even here, okay, this is heavy momentum, likely to go lower, right? That's fine if you get in a position late here and you have a good risk to reward, stop loss, yada, yada. But you're going to want to close soon because you could see it's going to go back to your entry almost, right? And that's less than ideal when you're momentum trading. When you are momentum trading, if momentum stalls, you want to get out. So if I'm playing this, there's not really any reversion momentum, right? There's no pushback. If there's a strong pushback, I'm going to need to get out. That's a little tiny bump, and we're going to keep going down, right? What I don't want to see is a huge bump here that I get stuck on and maybe have a hard time getting back over that hill, right? So key is early momentum, big drop. I can continue to hold this because I got a good entry. I got in early. And if I'm late, if I enter here, I'm going to be closing either on this candle or on this candle for sure because that's a huge lower wick, okay? Huge lower wick, that is a sign that momentum is potentially stalling. Now, if you say, all right, this is a big upper wick here. Let me zoom in for you guys maybe. If you look at this and you go, okay, this is a large upper wick. I think momentum's still to the downside. I think we're going to go lower. That's fine. But as soon as this momentum stalls, which it stalled here, okay, it stalls and it starts to push back the other direction, you've got to get out before it's back at entry. Because when you're momentum trading, this can actually go back above your entry and momentum can reverse on you quickly. So that's a key point there to understand is if you chase, that's fine. I don't chase often, but sometimes in heavy momentum like we have here, I will chase a little bit, but I will be very careful and I'll close quickly if it goes against me. So if you chase here and you get in a short here and it starts to go against you, you got to go, okay, I got to get out. This could be, this could be reversing rather than continuation. So that's something to be aware of, all right? And not only that, you're going to see momentum shifts at key areas, right? Like at a support and a resistance. So, excuse me. So let's see if I can find a good chart for you guys here. And bear with me, you guys. I'm actually not going to have my editor edit this because I want to get it out to you today. So I'm actually recording this on a Thursday, and you're probably going to get this video in a couple hours. So usually it's a couple day turnaround. But I think this is a good video. I wanted to share it. So anyway, let's see what we can find here. I'm looking for a good example. F looks like it might provide a good example. All right, so here we can see a loss of momentum, right? Up here, we see a very large loss of momentum, and now we kind of wait for that momentum to shift. So right here, okay, we're seeing a stall, but overall, this was still a pretty strong trend. And look at our volume here too. If I zoom in a little bit, our local volume was overall, strong, heavy on buyer volume here. So this area was still heavy on buyer volume, and even over here, still heavier. So that's telling me that momentum's still a little strong, okay? So I might not want to quite get into a short yet there. But I'm looking because I'm seeing stalling momentum, right? Because this is just strong, basically straight momentum. And now, for the first time and this is a 6-hour chart, by the way, so we didn't have more than one red candle in a row. Now we had 3. So now I can say, okay, I need to look for signs of reversal. Well, we have some momentum coming up here, and then what do we have here? Do you guys see the key here? So we have some strong momentum. It's slowing down. We get a little bit extra there. But is that really momentous? Not really. And the key here is we had this car rolling down the hill, okay, right here. And it ran into a brick wall, okay? And when it hits a brick wall, it's going to bounce back off a little bit, okay? And basically that's what happened is it could not break through a brick wall. And you see here we have some key data of a bearish engulfing candle. And not only a bearish engulfing candle, but look at our volume, okay? Here's our buy volume, all right? And here is our sell volume right next to it. Where are you? Where is my arrow? Seriously, you guys, I don't know where my arrow is. I'm lost. Okay, there we go. Bam! Bam! Arrows, arrows, arrows. I needed to get them out of my quiver. Is that what it's called? A quiver? What's that thing called? I don't know. You guys will probably know. Some of you will know. I bet one of you is an archer. Okay. Anyway, so look. Here is a high volume pushback for the first time, really, in this whole move. So that is where I could say, okay, momentum has shown a clear case for a shift. Now I could consider a short. And even better, I could maybe get in on a rejection up here somewhere, okay? And let me draw you this resistance here. Okay, so here's going to be the new resistance somewhere in here. And you can see here, perfect rejection. And we reject again, and we continue going down, and blah, blah, blah. We keep going, right? Now, for momentum's sake, I would probably, if I'm just momentum trading, again, you guys, momentum trading is more point A to point B. So my point A is up here at resistance, okay? This is resistance, and my point B is my first support. So here's support, and here's support, okay? So if I'm trading this based purely on momentum, I'm going, okay, here's a resistance, here's a support. If it stalls at support, I'm going to get out. So it goes to support, it breaks back above, I probably just get out. That's a nice momentum trade, I'm done. What you really like to see is a lot of space between support and resistance for extra momentum, okay? And we'll talk about that here in a second. So what you see here again is momentum is actually down right now. We get a push in the opposite direction of the key momentum shift, and I could say, all right, look, I could short here and put at resistance, or you can just wait, and we get, again, a literally picture-perfect bearish engulfing candle to go, okay, I didn't want to short here because momentum could have shifted, okay, we could have pushed up, but now I see that momentum is clearly still down. Momentum is still showing strength on the down slope. We're still at the top of this hill, okay? And I'm just going to get in here, and I'm going to get out if momentum carries, all right? So I get in here, and I'm playing the momentum, and look, I get a nice drop, and I'm early on in the momentum trend again, you guys. I get a nice drop, and I get no buyback whatsoever. And we're seeing momentum is not stalling until here. Here's the first time momentum has stalled, and this is likely where I would get out. Now, maybe I would consider getting out here if this candle would have closed above here. Okay, if this candle would have closed above here, I probably would have gotten out. It would have been a nice big green candle. All right, maybe I would close half here because momentum's starting to stall a little bit. But a lot of times, what's going to happen on low time frames, especially, you're going to see this, is that your momentum actually doesn't reverse until you get a big candle like this. So you get like some slow crawls, boo, 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 and then bam. And then that's usually where I'm exiting. So if I'm in a short on like a low time frame, a lot of times, like let's say I enter up here, and because I see a stall momentum, so I get in here, and it just kind of goes down, and then it bounces and trickles a little bit, but I don't really see any reversion of momentum. So we just trickle, and then bam. That's usually where I'm getting out, because that, especially on low time frames, that's usually kind of like the panic scenario. That's where people like panic sell or panic buy or whatever, depending on the direction, and that's where I'm going to look to get out, is on that big FOMO candle in either direction, all right? So that's on low time frame. So here, it stalls. And honestly, what's going to happen here is after this big candle, I'm obviously moving my stop loss closer to into profit, or maybe just taking profit here, like partial profit again. And then when this starts to drop, I'm playing momentum, and it's going to come back up. I'm going to get out. I'm not going to let this go back against me because I don't know how high it'll go against me. It could go up to here. It could close above there and pop even higher and come up back to my entry almost, okay? So when you play momentum, the key thing here is look at all this open air we had below, okay? We had a lot of open air down here. There's not much support built here. We have a little bit of consolidation here, okay, which is why you can see it kind of stuttering. But overall, we kind of just went straight up, and when we go straight up, we can go straight back down. But the key is, again, we're playing momentum. We just went straight down, so technically on momentum base, we could just go back straight up and cover that whole area, okay? So that's why as soon as momentum stalls, I'm going to get out. So let's say I'm in, you know, like, look at this. So we've got some momentum stalling here on the downward slope, and we have a big lower wick here. So from a momentum perspective, I'm saying, all right, well, look, these are a lot of lower wicks, lower wick, and momentum's kind of stalling here, but we have no shift yet. Okay, we've got more drops here, and this might be our first momentum shift, right? This is a very big lower wick and high volume. So I'm like, we might have a momentum shift here. So momentum is still going down. I'm not going to try to knife catch down here if I'm buying. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to see, okay, momentum is actually starting to reverse here. And then when it gets to up here somewhere, let me zoom in. Once we start to get in this area up here on this bounce, I'm going to say, okay, momentum is actually really shifting. Like, we're seeing a nice shift in momentum. I can maybe just get in here, okay? And when I'm getting in here, or I'm just saying, like, look at this low volume. Like, there's just no momentum to the downside here anymore. We had a little pop, okay? That's where everyone panic sells or whatever. And then we have no momentum here on either of these sell candles, as you can see here. There's just no momentum. So there's no force from bears, from sellers right now. We just have a few people selling, but where's the real force? Buyers, okay? Buyers gave the real force down here. So I kind of wait, though, and I'm saying, okay, I need momentum to shift. Maybe I go to lower time frames, all right? And once I start to see that momentum shift, I can get in, okay? And maybe I could start getting in down here, you know, because, again, we have a little tweezer bottom type deal sort of forming here. But once that momentum really carries, you can see here I would just get out once it stalls. So usually the first little pop isn't it, you know, like, and we closed above the EMA support here. So if we would have closed below EMA support or resistance, I would have gotten out. But since it closed above support, you could say, okay, as long as this candle holds support, I'm good. And especially if you get a good entry down here, you're going to be like, all right, this is the daily or 6-hour chart, so I got to give it some time. And you can see here, our momentum has now shifted. Look, we have another high buy volume candle and a relatively low sell volume candle. So where's momentum right now? Locally, ignore all this, locally momentum on these two candles is bullish, or on these 4 candles is bullish momentum. And even further, you could see momentum stays bullish up here. Now, okay, again, you close above the EMA support, so maybe you're going to hold. At this point, usually is where I would start to consider closing some of my position, because I've held it for a few days. Momentum is stalled. I'm starting to see some sell-off now coming in on this next candle, okay? And if it closes below these EMAs, I would definitely want to get out, all right? So if I'm in here and I want to keep holding, I can keep holding here because momentum is still low to the bearish side. It's still showing upside momentum as shown by the volume, but we start to get a little cautious here, and we can already see momentum starting to stall, right? There's not as much power as we had here on this push. So this is kind of a weak move. It's not showing a lot of, it's not showing a lot of strength, all right? So at this point, I would probably have just gotten out fully, and that's a nice little move here, okay? You got like a nice 15% move. So, and from a momentum perspective, that's perfect because we have a lot of resistance over here because it's consolidated for a while. So it's no surprise that we're going to find some resistance here, all right? Now, again, if I'm going momentum-based, you can see here 2 large open wicks. We are now at a resistance level, okay, or still at a resistance level, all right, as seen over here. We're starting to reject at this resistance. I'm seeing a shift in momentum, and maybe I can play this little shift, and our next support is right around here, okay? So what you see here is a momentum shift at resistance, clearly defined by these large wicks, all right? Maybe I just get in, and I hope momentum goes down. And basically what I would do is if I would enter on this candle, because I see it start to just reject, like this is the follow-through candle. So you see a nice long rejection here, okay? This candle, we don't have a nice rejection after. We have price going up. So now we start to reject. Maybe you get in because you've got double rejections and you start to see low time frame momentum shifting to the downside. You get in here. You get 2 days of bearish momentum. A third day starts to wick back up. Again, look at this volume. Okay, this is low volume. So you're not going to feel super confident about holding this too long. All right, so it's bearish volume though, and you start to get wick back, and you see it's starting to come in on higher volume too. You're going to be like, all right, I'm going to close. You caught a nice quick trade. Bam, that's a momentum play. Over and done. And now, one thing you can try to do if you're playing momentum is you can try to catch tops, but it's risky, and you need to really wait for momentum to stall in low time frames, all right? And not only that, sometimes if I'm getting in a momentum trade, I'm going to not really have a stop loss. I'm basically going to say, okay, what is the trend here? Okay, like let's say Ethereum here, right, is bearish trend, right? So let's say I was late. I didn't get in here, and I didn't get in here, but I'm like, this has a lot of room to go, and I think I can catch some momentum. And I'm basically just going to short a bounce, right? Because momentum is to the downside. All bounces should be shorted at that point, theoretically, right? So I'm going to say, I'm just going to assume that all bounces are dead cat bounces, and I'm going to try to get in. But the key here is, I'm obviously going to look for like a resistance level to get in. So if I go over here, I'm going to draw a key resistance right here, okay? We're close to that. And then I'm going to draw another key resistance right here. And this is probably the one to keep an eye on. So what you could do here is anything above this resistance is assumed to be a wick. All right. Anything above this resistance we'll assume will be a wick. All right. So we wick up, and I can just go, you know what? This seems overextended on low time frames. I think the trend is bearish. I'm just going to put in a short right here. And I'm just going to expect price to go down. And if it doesn't go down shortly, I'm just going to get out. But I'm expecting bearish momentum. Okay, let's see if we can find this. And you can see here, basically what happens is you're just looking for, like, you're looking for some momentum to start to the downside. All right, some rejections. All right, we have no momentum here. And this is where we finally have some momentum. Look at this volume here. Finally have some momentum volume. So if I start seeing this volume come in, I can say, all right, I'm just going to hop in a short here. We got a little rejection at my line. All right, at resistance, we've got a little rejection here. I'm just going to hop in a short, and I just want to see price continue to go down. All right, and now it's a 5-minute chart, so then you're going to zoom out, and you're just going to keep playing that momentum. All right, and you can see here that 1H turns into a nice rejection. We get a nice wick here. Volume is overall bearish. We get a nice rejection. You got a good entry up here, so you're not going to really worry about closing too early. But again, you did get in on this trade a little late. So if you feel like it, you can close at the next resistance. All right. It depends on what time frame you're trading. And a lot of times I'm going to be trading low time frames based on momentum. Okay. And really what your key is going to be here is you're going to be like, okay, who's in control? And I mean, it's pretty simple to see just here who's in control, right? All these bounces are getting shorted immediately. Anything above our EMAs is getting immediately shorted, and that's bearish. Look, EMA failed to hold, rejected, above, and rejected. So that means a strong downtrend, and we did the same thing here. Above the EMAs and rejected, okay? So that's a clear downtrend right now. These are Gooner EMAs. Anybody can use them. But look at this. As far as up here, we've not been above the Gooner EMAs for 2 days on the 15-minute chart. So that's clear bearish momentum, and basically what you're doing is you're just looking to take advantage of the pops, right? So you go, okay, well, we're above here, okay? I'm just going to short because we're above, and there's a high volume rejection. Momentum has stalled. I'm assuming trend is overall bearish, and you short, and it stalls here, and it doesn't break down. So what do? You go, okay, well, that was a nice little trade. I'm going to get out. And you made a 1% scalp. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Now, again, you watching for momentum to shift because you're assuming bearish momentum, and you go, okay, look at this weak-ass volume, like no buyer volume on this, so I'm going to look for a shift in volume and a shift in momentum. Oh, eureka, we've got a shift here, and you're live, you're going to see this coming in heavy, and you're going to be like, I want to get in on this, okay? So, we enter a short here. All right, we enter a short here because we see a shift in momentum above our EMAs, assuming it's just a dead cat bounce. And we see here momentum continues to carry, and we don't have any bullish momentum yet. Now, this is where I would say, okay, this is a high volume push. Is this a shift in momentum, or is this just a lot of people FOMOing in or a lot of people trying to fill extra shorts or selling on the bounce, right? And your next candle is going to tell you that you're in profit right now. All right, and you can go to other time frames too, just a little bit to see how the candles look and how the momentum is there. But anyway, what you're going to see here is we're still below the EMAs. Momentum hasn't fully shifted, and it's going to immediately sell off. If this starts to go up, you're going to need to get out, and you're still going to take a little bit of profit. But again, we're playing momentum, so if you want, you can get out right here. Momentum has stalled a little bit, or you say, all right, these are just dead cat bounces. I'm not seeing really true momentum. And you can just keep holding. And then here is where momentum starts to shift a little bit. And this is where I likely look to get out because I'm a momentum trader and this is not momentum. It's sideways price action. All right. But if you see here, the first real momentum shift was probably, again, maybe right here. But again, it's low volume. This is a high volume rejection. The first real momentum shift is probably down here where we see a large candle, right? Remember, you guys, a lot of times you're closing on a large candle, and then a nice lower wick here, and momentum has now truly stalled. And this is where I go, okay, this is a nice quick trade. This was stress-free for the most part. I'm going to get out. Okay. Nice and easy. Again, now you start to see rejections here. All right. And you go, I wonder if I should get in here. I'm going to look for momentum to start to carry down. And basically what you're doing is this is a buy, a weak buy with momentum pointing down. And as soon as we start to lose this, you're just going to hop in. And you're going to say, all right, I'm hopping in here. We've lost this support now. I'm going to hop in. And what you're assuming here is that momentum is going to go downhill because it broke down. And what a lot of people do, and the mistake a lot of people make is, dang, this is a long video, you guys. Anyway, what a lot of people do and the mistake a lot of people make is they get in here and then it bounces up. And even if it's a stop hunt, they close at the top or they don't close quick enough. If I get in here at this area and it starts to bounce and go against me, I got to get out because I'm expecting momentum to go down heavy because this is a big trend line break, right? After bearish momentum, this is basically like a redistribution and I'm expecting this to be strong continuation of trend. Okay, so what you can't do is get in a short here and watch it bounce up and just keep going and not know where to put your stop loss and yada, yada, yada. If you're trading momentum, you're getting out quickly if it doesn't go in your favor. So I'm saying, all right, this is a rejection. Momentum is clearly with the sellers and we're going downhill. So that's a car going up a hill, being pushed up a hill, and it's ready to go down the hill. And man, that's what you expect. So you expect that heavy momentum. And if you don't get that heavy momentum, you get out. One thing you can do here is you could just start to ladder in slowly. You can start adding to your position as it starts to drop a little bit, okay? Just as you're adding on confidence. But yeah, and then you would just hold until it stalls. And we don't really have any true momentum shift yet on any of these because we don't really have long lower wicks. We don't have much buyback. We don't have any strong closes. And I would maybe start closing down here a little bit, okay, maybe partial. And then if we got above like one of these candles, I would close fully. But again, you could see here, I would probably just start laddering out because again, momentum's starting to stall a little bit, but we have no reversal. We have slowing of momentum, but no push in the opposite direction. So we have slowing of momentum, but no push in the opposite direction. So maybe I'm just slowly closing or tightening a stop loss. I'm in profit now. And then bam, 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 big drops, immediate stall. That's where I'm going to get out. And you can see here, what I talked about in the beginning is now you've got that chop again. So big quick move, stall, big quick move, stall. And now you can see everyone's just getting chopped to shit now, right? And that's not where, this is an ideal area to trade. Okay, because over here, there was basically no trade to be had except for like a 30-minute time period. There was one trade to be had. Otherwise, it's just all choppy shit. And then in this 15-minute period of time frame, there was one trade to be had. And that's about it because this is a slow move without much momentum. You could have tried to trade it. But for the most part, in the last, all right, day and a half, or in the last day, okay, and this is why a lot of people get chopped up, because within the last day, you only had a 30-minute window and a 15-minute window to really catch a great trade. Aside from that, it's all just been sideways chop or slow movement, and you really didn't like. So that's my key point here: is you didn't pick a good time to trade if you weren't sitting here trying to take a trade at that exact time. And what happens is you were sitting here during all of this trying to trade this shit and getting chopped up in the meantime, while you really just should have either wanted to catch this move here. Whoops. And this is what I talked about at the beginning. You either want to catch this move here, this quick reversion move, obviously the first move, or the quick reversion move, otherwise you sit out, right? So this move, if you don't catch the first move, that's fine. You can catch the reversion move, otherwise you sit out, and then you sit out. And then now we don't have much reversion here. You could have still caught this little one based on momentum. And again, there's no momentum stall really up here, so you're not going to be shorting any of this. But here, you kind of have some momentum stall. You can maybe short this rejection, but it's kind of choppy. Like, here's a rejection. You could momentum short down to support. Okay? But again, it's mostly just choppy. A lot of people have lost interest, and you can see how the volume has died down in this little area because people give up trying to trade it, okay? So, anyway, you guys, this video was way longer than I expected. But, you know, once I just started going into it, I was enjoying talking about the momentum. And, yeah, we are here now, and I'm going to get going, man. That was a long video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate if you retweet it on Twitter. You know, subscribe to my YouTube. Give me a thumbs up on the video. Give me a comment as well. Help me get my engagement up for this video. I have been asked for this video for a long time. So anyway, you guys, if you enjoyed it, thanks for watching. I will catch you next time. Peace out.